Good morning, children. So today this class is for grade 7 and the topic is nutrition in the case of plants. When we start with the nutrition, so what is the term nutrition means? What do you mean by nutrition here? Nutrition is nothing but it is the intake of food. We all take the food inside the body. So whatever the food is taken by all the living organisms, so what happens inside the body actually? We know that there is a process of absorption, there is a process of digestion, the process of circulation to all the parts of the body. All these processes including the process of excretion. So this we call it as a life process. When we talk about the nutrition, the term nutrient also is very much important. What is the term nutrient means? The essential material required in the food, we call it as a nutrient. So, the next concept, let us speak about the types of nutrition. What are the types of nutrition now? Let us speak about the autotrophic nutrition as well as the heterotrophic nutrition. Autotrophic nutrition. As we know very well, the plants are called as autotrophs. Why are they called as autotrophs? What is the reason behind? Because we know that the plants prepare their own food. They synthesize their own food. So this is the reason the plants are called as autotrophs. And the mode of nutrition is called as a autotrophic nutrition. So what is the meaning of this autotrophs? Auto is nothing but self and trophos is nourishment. So this is the term autotroph means. The term auto means self and trophos means nourishment. In the sense, we know that the plants will be able to prepare their own food. And this mode of nutrition, we call it as an autotrophic nutrition. The next concept, let us speak about the heterotrophic nutrition. Here, we the human beings, the animals, we are considered as a heterotrophic nutrition. Why? Because we will not be able to prepare our food, but we are directly or indirectly depending on the plants and animals for food. So the term, it means heterotrophic nutrition. Hetero. What is the meaning of this hetero now? Hetero is nothing but others. The term hetero means others. The term hetero means others and trophos means nourishment. This is the difference between the autotrophic nutrition and heterotrophic nutrition. So, when we talk about the leaves are the food factories for the plants. Why? Why do we say as the food factories for the plants? Because we know that whatever the water, minerals, all these which are remaining in the soil will be absorbed by the roots and transported to the leaf. So the leaves are the food factories of the plants. And then we always know that a leaf will be green in color. And when we talk about this leaf, there are tiny pores in the leaves here. we also can say that why the leaves are green in color. Why do you say that the leaves are green in color? Because they contain a green pigment which is called as chlorophyll. And they will be able to prepare the food during the process of photosynthesis. And what is the meaning of this photosynthesis? What does the word photosynthesis mean? As we know that during the time of photosynthesis, the plants will be utilizing the sunlight, the carbon dioxide, the minerals, water, all these things will be utilized by the plants to prepare the food. And this process we call it as photosynthesis. Then as we know, sun is the main source of energy. Sun is the ultimate source of energy for all the living organisms on this earth. Can you imagine a life without the photosynthesis? Is it possible? No. Life without photosynthesis is absolutely not possible on this earth. Why? Because we will not be getting the food. If there is no photosynthesis, we will not be getting the food from the plants. And we know that all the living organisms are surviving on this earth with the help of oxygen, which is the most essential for all the living organisms on this earth. In turn, we will not be getting oxygen, we will not be getting food which is prepared by the plants. So, we can say that without photosynthesis, life is impossible. And then, let us understand this concept with the help of an activity. When we take two potted plants, one pot will be kept in the sunlight and the other pot will be kept in a darker place or maybe in a dark box. And this activity will be undertaken for 72 hours. What is the duration actually? When we talk about 72 hours, it is meant 3 days. So, after 3 days, when the potted plant which is kept under sunlight, the leaves of those potted plants will be taken and tested for iodine. And then, even the pot which was kept in the darker place, even those leaves will be taken for iodine test. Then after that, we are supposed to record the observations. What will be our observation when we look into both the leaves? The potted plant which was kept in the sunlight and the other plant which was kept under a darker place. Then the same dark potted plant, I mean to say the plant or a potted plant which was kept in the darker place, the same potted plant will be kept under sunlight for 72 hours, that is for 3 days. And again we record the observation. What will be the observation after keeping under the sunlight? The leaves will be tested with iodine. So, similarly, we can say that not only this, when we talk about a leaf, we always say that the green leaf will be containing a pigment. What do we say? It is called as a chlorophyll. So what about the other color leaves? So when we talk about the red, the green, the red color, the brown color or the yellow color. So do you think there is no pigment which is called as a chlorophyll in these leaves? Leaves other than the green color also will be having a pigment. In case if you see some patches or the dark spots on such leaves other than the green color, it contains a pigment which is called as a chlorophyll. And it is meant for photosynthesis, or it carries the process of photosynthesis. Okay, the next one. Let us speak about the term algae. What does this term algae mean? So when you see on the damp patches on the damp walls or the stagnant water bodies, those green patches are nothing but the algae. And then the fungi. The fungus formation of the fungi. Let us take one example of a bread. So when you take a bread and sprinkle the water on the bread and keep it for 2 to 3 days, what happens? You can see that there is a fungus formation. You can see that the formation of the black color starts appearing on the bread. So that formation is nothing but the fungus formation. That is the difference between the algae and the fungi. So usually when we talk about the fungus formation, the things which we are or the products which we are using in our daily life, like maybe the pickle, you see that there will be the fungus formation. Not only on the bread, even on the pickle, you can see that the formation of the fungus appears. And then, let us speak about the saprotrophic nutrition. Okay, when we talk about the fungus formation, what do you mean by this saprotrophic nutrition? It is nothing but the organisms which will be taking the nutrients from the bread. For example, I just told you the fungus. They take the nutrient from the bread, or otherwise you can say they depend on the dead and decaying organic matters, and that term we call it as a saprotrophic nutrition. Now we have understood the concept between autotrophic nutrition, heterotrophic nutrition, as well as saprotrophic nutrition. Let us continue with the next concept, which is insectivorous plants. What do you mean by these insectivorous plants now? For example, there are some plants which will not be getting nitrogen. So before this concept, let me tell you one example. There are certain plants which will not be preparing their food, which will not be synthesizing their food. One example such we can give about the cuscuta plant, or otherwise it is called as amarberry. The cuscuta is one such example, or otherwise it is called as amarberry. What happens in the case of this plant? This plant will not be able to synthesize their own food. So what do? How do they get their food? They will be depending on the other plant to get the food. Like one example, you can say that it is like a wily yellow color structure which will be living on the other plant. And that particular plant prepares the food for cuscuta. And this cuscuta, or the amarberry, becomes a parasite. It becomes a parasite on the other plant. You can see that this cuscuta will be climbing on the other plant. It gets the food from the other plant. It will not be able to synthesize its own food. Then, what are insectivorous plants? Sometimes it so happens that plants will be requiring nitrogen. They require nitrogen, but it's not present in the soil. Nitrogen, you can see that it will be present in the atmosphere in the form of gaseous form. Then how is this plant getting the nitrogen? How will you think that the nitrogen will be reaching to the plants? This plant, or you can say that there is a bacteria. There is one bacteria which will be absorbing the nitrogen from the atmosphere, which is in the gaseous form, and it utilizes to a usable form. It tries to absorb it. It reaches to the soil, and later on the soil will be absorbed by this new nitrogen. So This is how the plants get nitrogen. Or maybe you must have seen that the farmers, they utilize the NPK fertilizers. What is NPK fertilizer? Nitrogen, phosphorus and potassium. NPK is nothing but nitrogen, phosphorus and potassium. These fertilizers will be utilized by the farmers to enrich the soil, to make the plant very strong, to make the plant very healthy. The next concept, let us speak about the insectivorous plants. There are certain plants which will be depending by trapping the insects. Let us talk about the concept insectivorous plants. What are these plants? Why are they called as insectivorous? Because these plants will be trapping the insects. They try to trap the insects and they digest it. Immediately you can see that the insect goes inside the plant. It tries to digest the insect. Since these plants trap the insects and digest it, or otherwise you can say the insect eating plants are called as the insectivorous plants. For example, you can say about a pitcher plant or the Venus flytrap. All these are the examples of the insectivorous plants. So in today's lesson, we have learned about the concept of nutrition, the nutrients, the photosynthesis, the two types of nutrition, that is autotrophic nutrition, heterotrophic nutrition and saprotrophic nutrition. And then we have discussed about the plants which are called as the insectivorous plants. Thank you.